Okay, Isaiah 9 and verse 6. Here is then the exciting news of a son being born to us, a son of Israel being born to us. Doesn't that suggest that he's a man? Can you be a man if you don't begin in the womb of your mother? Obviously not. This is not a son coming from outside the womb into the womb and being born. That really is chaotic. No, a son is going to be born to us. We know what this is. We know that mothers bear children. So that should be perfectly plain. A child will be born to us, and a parallel, you simply repeat the same idea in a different sense. The son will be given to us. And the government, it's a rare word in the Hebrew, but it's a marvelous word. The government will rest on his shoulders. He'll bear the burden of being the president, and his name will be called. That simply means this is what he will be called. Jesus said, you will be called the children of the kingdom, and you will be the children of the kingdom. Same thing. To be called something, that's what you are. And here's the name that belongs to this remarkable governor to come. He's going to be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, and Prince of Peace. There you go, they say, he's mighty God. That makes two gods, unfortunately. Don't even go there. Don't let your children imagine two gods. You're breaking the first commandment. So let's explain these titles. They're not that difficult at all. His first name then is Wonderful, which means a miracle here. A miracle of a counselor. He's a miracle of a counselor. We all know about counselors. They give us advice in different facets of life. But this person is going to have the right counsel. Do you remember that Paul said in Acts 20 that he'd given the people the whole counsel of God? I like that. He told them the whole counsel of God. We're trying to do that from the pulpit, less successfully than Paul, no doubt. The whole counsel of God. This person is going to be a miracle of a counselor. I mean, you haven't heard counseling like you're going to hear from this person. Right, he is the messenger of the new contract. The Hebrew here is actually a wonder of a counselor. That's all, a miracle counselor. And following that, then, the second part of his title, what do we got? Mighty God. In the Hebrew, El Gibor. El is the word for God in Hebrew. Gibor means a mighty one. So the standard lexicons, which are normally right, simply call this a divine hero reflecting the divine godship of God. So you can reflect God without being God. And this person is a God figure, a God, not the God, but a God figure, and he's a mighty God figure. Jesus said, if you hear me speak, you're hearing God speak. Thomas, have I been with you so long, you don't understand that if you've seen me, you've seen God. He got it finally. He said, my Lord, my God. He got it finally. Doesn't mean he's a second God, which would break his own commandment of the Shema. Mark 12, Jesus said there's only one God, and that's one person. So you won't find a single verse in the Bible where the word God ever means a triune God. Check it out. Thousands and thousands of references to God as I, me, him, himself, myself. All of that. 14 forms of the singular personal pronoun. Not one of them can you show to mean a triune God, which is completely foreign to the Bible. Even in 321, they were uncertain about the Holy Spirit. In 321, they said, we believe in the Spirit, but we're not quite sure what to do with that. So it's nonsense to say that the Trinitarian God is the God of Jesus or the God of the Bible. That couldn't be right, because your name tells us who you are, your whole personality. If your name is John in English, you may not know that's a Hebrew word, Yohanan, and Hannah, and Joanna, and Joan, and all those names, they all have to do with grace. The Hebrew word Hanan is to be gracious to be generous to somebody. A statement about who you are and what you do. Miracle counselor, the El Gibor, the mighty one who reflects God. And the next one, most important, eternal Father. Well, now, your children will say, well, that's odd. I didn't think the Son was the Father. You're right, no son is his own father. But eternal Father is rendered by the Greek translation, 300 BC. They did a Greek translation of the Hebrew, known as the Septuagint, and they rendered that as the Father of the age to come. He's the parent, supervisor of that age to come, the future age of the kingdom. I'm favoring the translation in the Septuagint, which speaks of the Father of the age to come. Some don't have that, but He is the supervisor of the coming age. The other point is that there is a name Ithiel, I-T-H-I-E-L, which was given in the Proverbs to some son born of a woman. The son was to be called Ithiel, which means God is with me. And the woman didn't think the child was God. So when you learn that the son is called Emmanuel, God is with us, it doesn't mean you think that he is God. You mean that God is with you in the birth of that son. You're recognizing God's activity. His name will be Emmanuel. That's in 7:14 of Isaiah. Parallel then with Ithiel in Proverbs 30, verse 1. If you turn to Isaiah 22 and verse 21, there's a fellow there called Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, of whom it is said in verse 21 of Isaiah 22, I will clothe him with your tunic. Your office will be transferred from him to you, and tie your sash securely about him. I will entrust him with your authority, your rule, and he will become a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. And I will set the key of the house of David on his shoulder, reminding us of Isaiah 9:6. When he opens, no one will shut. When he shuts, no one will open. There was another foreshadowing of Jesus here, a governmental official on whose shoulders rests the authority of God himself.